Hey lovelies, thanks for stopping by my channel. I am so excited for today's video because we're talking about one of my favorite things and I'm collabing with another amazing content creator here on YouTube. So how much better could it get, right? So today I'm going to be doing my blush collection tag, and the first person I saw this from was Samantha March, but I noticed that she mentioned that Michelle Wong is the one that started it. So I will make sure to link both of their videos down below. Now, if you're not familiar with this tag, it's really kind of just going through a few of the highlights in your blush collection. A few of the like blush highlights, not like skin highlights. You get what I'm saying? Anyway, so I'm gonna share with you like my most expensive, my everyday, and some other fun picks. Now, as I mentioned, I am so excited to be doing this as a collab. I actually reached out to Rupy Minhas to see if she wanted to do a collab with me. I mean, honestly, I was just kind of like, I just want to do any collab with this girl. Now, I think this is going to be amazing, not only because Rupy is amazing, but because we have different skin tones, so it'll be a great way to see some blushes for a more fair skin type and then someone that is more medium. Now, if you guys haven't checked out Rupy's channel, you really need to go right after this video because I really love her content. She is so like down to earth and real and super honest. And of course, you guys know that's something that I really value as someone who watches YouTube. And you guys, I am definitely someone who watches beauty content here on YouTube. I am that person that finds those channels that I can really relate with and, you know, really enjoy the opinions of people that I feel like I can trust, and that's definitely Rupy. So I really recommend that you head over to her video after this. I, of course, will have that linked in the description box as well. And ever since I found Rupy here on YouTube, I honestly just like started being that kind of like creeper who started going back through videos just to like really check out her videos and kind of her evolution here on YouTube. And, you know, just from getting to know her and the times that we've chatted through Instagram and things, she's just such a kind soul. So she's someone that I value as not only a YouTuber, but as a fellow woman, and I really love that. So thank you so much, Rupy, for saying yes to doing this video with me. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see what's in your blush collection. Now, if you guys are ready to see what's in mine, let's get right into it. All right, so the first category in this tag is my newest blush. Now, my newest blush is actually what I'm wearing today. Put it on today for the first time, and this is the Wayne Goss. This is in one of his Weightless Veil blush palettes, and it's the shade Sunny from the Bright Poppy duo. So it's this one right here. Now, I don't really have this highlighter on. It's kind of a story. You'll get to see it in my upcoming makeup play date because that's where this entire look comes from. But I do have this blush. I think it's really pretty. I don't even know if it shows up on camera quite as beautiful as it is, but I'm very much so enjoying it. I do think for me, it will definitely be more of a spring and summer blush, or like almost like a summer and like the beginning of fall before my pale skin starts coming to the surface again. Now, I'm not gonna go too much into the details on this blush and how I feel because I did a whole video on the Weightless Veil blushes. I mean, hint, hint, obviously I probably like them since I just bought one more, but if you wanted to see details on that, you can check it out. I'll make sure to link it up above. In the complete opposite direction, we're now going to talk about my oldest blush. And to be honest, I really had to like sort of guess at this one. I hope that's not too sad because maybe that means that I have a lot of old blushes in my collection, or maybe that just means that I've decluttered so many of them that I'm not quite sure. And I will say I have done quite a bit of decluttering in my collection. Part of that is because I've moved twice in the last like 2.5 years. And so that's one thing about moving, if you've ever been a frequent mover, is that like every time it gives you a chance to like go through your stuff and pare it down. So that's what I've kind of done. But my oldest blush is the Milani Baked Blush in Luminoso. I still really love this blush, and I love all of the Milani Baked Blushes. I think they're so pretty. I mean, for the price, I think Milani actually knocks it out of the park in a lot of ways. And this actually, this is gonna show you how old this is. I think that this one is actually the original Luminoso formula. If you guys know your Milani Luminoso, you'll know that at one point it was sort of reformulated and now it's a different shade. It's just not quite the same now. So this is definitely, I would say like a satin sheeny blush. It definitely doesn't have any glitter to it, but I'm not gonna go on and on about it. I do really like this one. To be honest, I probably shouldn't have it in my collection anymore, but I just can't let it go. All right, now moving on to my most expensive blush. Now, to be honest, this one is kind of hard for me because if you have been here on my channel much, you know I really like to dive deep into price per gram or price per ounce, just to see the value in a product. So I really wanted to hunt and look and see like, okay, which one is most expensive price per gram? But I didn't do that because I know 90% of the world doesn't do that. So I was just looking at the price of the actual package. So if you kind of go off of that, the Wayne Goss Weightless Veil blushes are technically the most expensive, but since there's a highlighter in that, I think we should like slash that price in half. Half for the highlighter, half for the blush. So I'm not using that one. It's also to cheat, just so I can talk about more blushes, let's be honest. So I'm gonna actually talk about my Charlotte Tilbury Cheek to Chic in Pillow Talk. Now, this is actually a recent purchase for me. I believe I bought it in the spring VIB sale. I love Charlotte Tilbury. I think all of her packaging is to die for. Anything Pillow Talk, you can give it to me. Like all the Pillow Talk things, if there was like Pillow Talk foundation, I'd probably wear it, even though it would look ridiculous. So I really like this color. It is such a beautiful, like everyday kind of dusty mauve. So I'm gonna give like a little swirl in both colors. Now I will say, just recently, I did find a pretty darn good dupe at much less of a cost. So I will go ahead and link that video. But really, this is just that like beautiful satin finish, looks lovely on the skin. You can kind of wear it every single day. It's just that perfect blush, and I'm definitely not sad that I added it to my collection this spring, and it makes me want more Charlotte Tilbury. Now moving on to everyday blush. Now I just said that Pillow Talk could be an everyday blush, and I really think that's true. In fact, this one is kind of close to Pillow Talk. I might pull that out and we can kind of compare, but this is actually a ColourPop blush. This is the shade, I believe it's I Need Space. This is from the Kathleen Lights and ColourPop like Zodiac collection. So this is, boy, it's pretty close. Yeah, I'm gonna have to swatch that other shade. No, this has a little bit more pink to it. I'm probably just doing this to make myself feel better, but I think that this one has more pink. All right, I kind of felt like they looked the same in the pan, like, don't they? But up close, they don't look the same at all. All right, so if you can see here, this is I Need Space and this is Pillow Talk. So Pillow Talk is definitely a bit warmer. It's a little bit more nude, whereas I Need Space definitely has more of that like pinky mauve to it. And I think some of that comes in the like satin sheen that they have. Pillow Talk, of course, has that like creamy shade, that more like champagne shade in the middle, whereas the I Need Space has a little bit more of like a pearly pink shift to it. So okay, I'm glad that I didn't buy Pillow Talk when I basically had Pillow Talk in my collection. Makes me feel a little better. Now let's move on. All right, now we move on to my most colorful blush. So here is where you find out that I basically cheat at every single one of these tags because I can't just pick one of these. Now I will also, this is a good time to mention that I did not pick, oh, I guess I did for one. I did pick for one, but I did not pick any blush palettes because I feel like that's like an extra cheat. But if I did pick a blush palette, I would probably actually have to pick this OPV Beauty Born to Shine palette because look at that. It's pretty colorful, as in like there are a lot of colors. But if we're talking about like richness and color, then I have some others to show you guys. So right off the bat, I'm just gonna get this one out of the way. This is the Wayne Goss Vivid Azalea palette. This is the shade Shocking, which is obviously quite shocking. So this one though, honestly you guys, this looks good on every single person. I have watched a lot of reviews on these palettes. I haven't seen a single person that I didn't like this color on. Now, there might have been some discoveries as far as application on some videos, but I think that this tone looks really good on everybody. But, you know, Wayne Goss, hello, like everybody is freaking out over this blush for good reason. It's really beautiful. Now, my second option is the Urban Decay Afterglow. This is in the shade Bang. They don't make this anymore. This is like, it's like a red and a coral at the same time. I like to pull it out in the summer when I'm like really nice and tan, if I happen to get a tan. I'm so sad I did not pull this out once this summer. I don't feel like I got much sun, but it's this beautiful like fiery color. And then the last one we have is again another one that I don't think you can get anymore. This is from Kevyn Aucoin, and this is the Pure Powder Glow in the shade Miracle. So this is a very hot, hot pink. And I think I actually got this in a lucky bag, like in the Beautylish lucky bag, so that you guys can see here. We have the Vivid Azalea from Wayne Goss, and then we have, I believe it was Bang from Urban Decay, and then Miracle from Kevyn Aucoin. So all very beautiful and all very bright. All right, now this next one is Best Memory, which for me was really hard because, I mean, I guess maybe people have a memory as to like which blush they were wearing when. I honestly have a memory that I can usually remember some of that stuff, but there was nothing that made me think of a time that I wore a blush. However, I remember buying this product. And this is the one where I said I did kind of cheat and I did do a blush palette. So this is the original Hourglass Ambient Cheek Palette. This is the one that has Luminous Flush, Incandescent Electra, and Mood Exposure. So this was probably my second Hourglass purchase. I think my first Hourglass purchase was actually the little trio of the ambient powders, like not the blushes. But this just takes me back to the days where like I was really, really treating myself, and you know, where it was like, it was a lot to purchase something like this. Not that it's not still a lot. I mean, it's definitely an expensive product, but it was just, you know, that like, you know what, I'm really going to treat myself to this, and I think I'm really going to like it, and I'm really going to love it. And honestly, I do. Like, all of these shades are beautiful. I think that Incandescent Electra in the middle here is still like one of my all-time favorite shades of Hourglass. It is really beautiful, and I just remember like, this was when I was first really getting into blushes, and that's so crazy to say because now like blush is one of those things that if I have like 10 minutes, blush is going to be something that I'm going to want to pop on more than highlight, more than bronzer. It's just like, I just feel like it adds to the face. But you know, before like, let's say, I would say like the last 10 to 15 years, I never really wore blush. Like it just wasn't something that I really liked to do. I didn't really understand. I think I would pop on a little bit of bronzer here and there, but blush was just never a thing that I wanted to do. So I think for me, this was where like the evolution of makeup came for me, and you know, where I really started appreciating the little like nuances that all the different steps can have. Not that you need to do all the steps, because I certainly don't even, but it's just in finding those ways that our makeup tastes change, and this is really where I found One Shift. So this is a great memory for me. Now, I don't even want to bother like swatching these, because if you guys have ever tried an Hourglass blush, or if you've swatched them in the store, you've probably thought, wow, these are really nothing. Like, why does anybody care about these? But I am actually kind of surprised how much that these actually show on the swatch. Part of it is probably because I'm like using this makeup remover wipe in between, so it's probably, there's like a little bit of dampness, but in the store, if you swatch an Hourglass blush, like it just sort of looks like it's like a whisper of color, which on the skin translates beautifully because it's very hard to build up too much of an Hourglass blush, I think, and it just has this wonderful like satin healthy glow that I love. But it's really hard to like pick out a shade sometimes because, you know, you swatch something and it's like, oh, how's that really gonna look on the face? But it's well worth it once you decide which color you want. You guys, I have to say, I've honestly been having such a fun time doing this tag because it really made me like go into my wardrobe of blushes and really find some that I hadn't been using in a while. Like that palette, I mean, it's obviously pretty old, but like that palette, I haven't used those blushes in a while. And it's just been fun to, you know, really see what's in my collection. So now we're going to talk about the worth the hype choice. So I am going to talk about the M Cosmetics Color Drops. You guys, these are so good. Like, if you are a cream blush fan or a liquid blush fan and you haven't tried these, you really should, especially if you have normal to dry skin. I honestly feel like these on an oily skin type, they'll probably fade off really quickly. I don't necessarily think that they'll be like super greasy because this formula isn't greasy. It's just that they're like watercolory. So I feel like on an oily skin type, that product might break down, and you know, then you really won't get to see it for very long. So this is the shade Sunset Sky. I'm gonna try to like get a good size swatch here. My hand is starting to get a little bit stained, so I'm sorry if you can't see like the true color of this, but they honestly are like popsicle cheeks. Like, you know, the popsicle lip trend, these are popsicle cheeks. So they're sheer, they're dewy and glowy, and I could see, you know, on a day where you're just feeling really confident, you're loving your skin, maybe you just want to put on some sheer tinted moisturizer, you want to pop a little bit of color on your cheeks with your fingers and like throw on a coat of mascara, a lip gloss, and run out the door, this is going to be your product. It is also beautiful, like used in a bit more of like a full makeup application, but it's just got that beautiful sheer tone. I have it in 2 colors. I could totally see getting more. I love cream blushes and liquid blushes so much. I'm kind of surprised that I didn't put more into this video, but the thing is like before the last 3 or 4 years, I was predominantly using powder. So most of my collection is more powders. And especially if we're talking about like memories and long time things, those are gonna be powders just because that's where I was. Like I said, there's this like fun evolution of, you know, your makeup loves, right? All right, we talked about the worth the hype product. Now we're gonna talk about the not worth the hype product. So before I even get started, I'm not saying that this isn't a good product. I'm not saying that I don't like this. I mean, this was something that everybody loved. I honestly think that a lot of people are like getting over the hype of this. So this is the NARS Orgasm Blush. So again, it is awfully lovely. I think it looks good on a lot of skin tones, but you know, I feel like this was one of the first really like sheeny, glowy blushes that became really popular. So I think that that's part of what made NARS Orgasm popular, is it was that like extra flush when things really were like matte or maybe satin for a long time. This really has that little bit more of a glow. But two things. So I am like over all the orgasm all the time. Okay, NARS, we get it. You like orgasms. Let's get over this. I feel like, you know, instead of launching new ideas, they just kind of keep tweaking orgasm. It's like, guess what we're doing for holiday this year? A really big orgasm pan. Guess what we're doing this year? Orgasm, but in a tiny little pan. And then we're gonna, you know, like do an orgasm lip gloss, although I really do like the orgasm lip gloss. So that's the first thing, is it's like, can we like move on from this? Like, we've been there, done that. Now, I feel like I'm maybe hypocritical here because I just talked about Pillow Talk, and like Pillow Talk is Charlotte's orgasm, right? Where it's just like the thing that is done and like tweaked and then redone and then put in different packaging, or, you know, all of that. So I think the other thing about this is that there are dupes out there that I actually like better, or like similar products that I like better. And I really don't think that the NARS blush formula is that great. Like, maybe when it was in its peak time, like when it first launched, but I like something that's a little bit more creamy and a little bit more like buttery satin feeling. To me, NARS blushes are more like dry and powdery. So one of the ones that I actually really love is the Balm's Hot Mama. I don't know if you'll even be able to see this in the close-up, but like Orgasm is a little bit more pink, and it has, honestly, the gold looks like shimmery. It looks like tiny little micro glitters, whereas the Hot Mama blush is a little bit more warm, like it's like a peachy pink, and then the gold is more refined. It's almost just like a sheen. So this was like my all-time favorite blush for a really long time. Like, I love it, and when I like that like sheeny look, it's so beautiful. I've used it in a couple videos, maybe like older videos, but I've used it here on my channel a couple times, and I just love it. So if this is one that you don't have in your collection and you like this, but you kind of want something different, or you want something that has, honestly, I think a better formula, this is the one I'd check out. Now, my next pick is my favorite blush from my favorite brand. So I don't know if this is supposed to be like my favorite altogether brand or my favorite blush brand. Either way, it might actually be the same company. So surprise, it's another Hourglass one. This is Hourglass Dim Infusion. And I think that this is like one of those like sleeper shades where you look at it in the pan and you're kind of like, meh, really? Like, okay. Now I will say, I do think that this is probably best for your like pale to light skin tones. I think that I got this because of Samantha Rovendal. I think that she and I have very similar makeup tastes. Ugh, I'm like kind of trying to load this one on, and you're still really not going to be able to see it very well. But the thing about this is that perfect, like fresh-faced, just like ethereal, angelic blush. And actually, I have a picture where I'm wearing this blush, and I love the way it looks. I'm gonna like pop it up here so you guys can see. No, granted, I have my like rosy hair too, which is always when I feel my most confident, but there's just something about this blush, and it's beautiful. First of all, you could basically not apply too much. I mean, I could probably apply half this and it wouldn't be too much color, which is really nice when you're just like looking for something quick so that you don't have to worry about like, oh my gosh, am I gonna put too much on? What brush do I need to use? Like all of that. So it's a really quick like grab and out the door for me, but it just looks so pretty. So it's one that makes me always feel really confident. And, you know, I think that that's something that we love about makeup, is like finding those things that just make you feel pulled together, make you feel your best, and, you know, make you feel pretty. Okay, now this was kind of a shocker for me, to be honest, that I picked this, because I was like looking through my drawer and I had a couple picks, and I feel like there's a difference between the most underrated and like the one that you wish more people would try, right? Like, I know that sounds weird, but I was actually thinking, so this is what this is, by the way. The category is most underrated. So what I was going to pick is the Flower Blush Balm. So these are the creams from Flower Beauty. These aren't necessarily underrated though, but I just find that like more people should try them. Especially, you know, if you are someone who tends to go more towards like high-end cream products, I think you should really give Flower a try. Honestly, they're still a favorite drugstore brand for me. Like, I think that a lot of their products are amazing. So I kind of want to say that, but most people that have tried these give it glowing reviews. So I guess I can't say that it's underrated. By the way, do you like how I like slipped one more pick in there? I'm totally a cheater, I'm telling you. So the one that I did decide to pick as my most underrated are another balm product. These are the Balm In Stain blushes. Now, these are so pretty. I have a couple shades. This is the shade Swiss Dot. Yeah, this is the shade Swiss Dot. I mean, first of all, this color is so pretty. It's like a beautiful, like apricot pink. This is wonderful. And the thing that I love about this, oh, you guys, this color. The thing that I love about this is these are great if you are that person that blush wears off of really easily. Whether it's honestly that you like sweat a little bit more, whether it's that you have more oily skin, whether you just find that your face eats your blush, like whatever it is, these are so nice because they really are a staining blush. So it's probably a good thing that this was at the end of my list, because I probably would have this like blush like sitting here for a while, even though I tried to wipe it off. So these blushes are just so pretty. They are more of your matte blush, and I don't mean matte as in like flat and chalky. It's just there's not a lot of sheen to them. So you can of course top it with like a blush topper or a highlighter if you want a little bit more glow, but I just love these and I don't hear anybody talk about them anymore. Okay, most nostalgic. Now this for me is sort of bringing me back to the beginning of my like downslide into like makeup obsession. Or upslide, depending on how you want to look at it. But you know, I have always been into makeup. I mean, as a professional doing hair and makeup, like it's always been something that I've really enjoyed. And I would say that, you know, I've been doing hair now for 21 years. It's probably the last 10 that I've gotten more into doing more professional makeup. But honestly, it was YouTube that really got me into like how wide the world of makeup was, and you know, really getting to see all of the different options out there, things that I'd never heard of, brands that I'd never heard of or tried. So that's really what, you know, helped me start building my collection. Now, whether you look at that from a positive or a negative, I guess there are pros and cons, but that's a really long story. Wow. So my most nostalgic blush is actually in here. Do you guys remember when we all used to do this? By the way, this is like an Aether eyeshadow. I just needed somewhere to put it, but this is all my like pan blushes, and the one that I wanted to talk about was actually MAC Cosmetics Gingerly. Now, I got this along with so many people because of Jaclyn Hill. Jaclyn was probably one of the first like 5 people on YouTube that I was watching. I will be honest, I don't watch her anymore. I think I'm actually unsubscribed at this point. But I mean, I'll be honest, I really enjoyed Jaclyn's content. You know, I remember 8-10 years ago watching her, you know, talk about her love for MAC, like after she had worked at MAC, and Gingerly was one of the ones that she had recommended. I do also have Margin here, which is again another one that I'm sure was a Jaclyn Hill purchase. I'm not even sure why I keep these around. I don't know. It's again because of nostalgia, really. So these are both just like pretty nude washes of color. Honestly, I don't really buy much MAC anymore. Partially because honestly, I don't think that like they are up here in quality anymore, and also they aren't cruelty-free, and you know, I have really been trying to buy more cruelty-free brands. I'm not perfect, and I definitely have some favorites that I really need to find replacements for, but it is something that if I can find that, I'm doing. So these are really beautiful. They do have nostalgia. At some point, I'm probably just gonna have to let these go, but it is kind of fun as I'm like brooding through all my stuff to see this pop up. All right. If you made it this far, I'm super impressed. You must be as much of a blush lover as I am to stick through this. So we have one more left, and that is the most disappointing. Now, this is a really hard one, and I probably could like scan the internet to find something that I've already decluttered, because of course, if it's super disappointing, I probably wouldn't have it anymore, right? You'd hope so, otherwise I'm like a true beauty hoarder. But The one that I have in my collection that I wanted to talk about are the ColourPop blush sticks. Now, I guess I can't say the blush sticks as a whole, but what I found was that these were a little bit inconsistent in their formulas. I felt like some formulas were a little bit like smoother and creamy, and some were a little bit more dry. And I don't think that they make these anymore, so more people must have agreed with me. So this is the shade Under Pressure. This one isn't too bad, but I don't know. There's just something like, I think I wish that they were more emollient. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like here is the shade Sideways. So this one is more of like a sheeny color. So they just, they're so different. Like Sideways, it feels almost more like oily on my hand, whereas Under Pressure is almost like a thick cream. And I feel like when you have like one product, it should have the same consistency across the board. And I definitely didn't find that. And honestly, you guys, I hate to say this, but like I feel like ColourPop is just one of those brands that is becoming more disappointing just because, in all honesty, they're like launching stuff all the time. I don't know. I guess I just don't know how to explain it. Oh my God, you guys, look. See, look at this. So I just got this damp with something like that was sitting over here. It must be my makeup remover wipe. Yeah, like both of these, I'm able to like wipe the print off of the outside of the package. Like, what? I mean, I realize ColourPop's inexpensive, but this is just another sign. Like, I would rather see a brand that launches a few products a year. And don't get me wrong, I am definitely going to keep buying ColourPop. Like, there are things that I really, really enjoy, but it's sort of like, hey, like slow your roll like 20%. Because I think then you could like take a breath, center yourself, focus on what you do really well, design a product that has a really great formula and launch it and like make people happy. I think that ColourPop gives into over consumerism a little bit, and it's starting to hit me a little bit wrong. So I don't know if maybe that's why I grabbed these, that there's just that like underlying like cringe factor with ColourPop now. That being said, the new like Baby Yoda palette, I know that's not what it's called, but that's what everybody's calling it. I really like that palette. I'm not getting it, but you know, they do have some really cute eyeshadow palettes at launch. I do love the formula, but I just wish they'd slow their roll. And these blushes were super inconsistent. So one more rant at the end of this video. We're just ending it really strong. Wow. So I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight, letting me just ramble on about makeup. So hopefully you maybe found a blush that you want to try, or if there's something that I'm missing, please leave it down below. I really enjoy just sitting down and chatting with you guys about the makeup that I love, and I hope that, you know, you guys find this valuable or at least entertaining. If you are coming over from Rupy's channel, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. I would love it if you'd introduce yourself in the comments. Please consider subscribing. I'd love to have you here. We have some fun content coming up. If you did enjoy this exploration into my blush collection, don't forget to give it a like. It really does help me out. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you really soon. So this is actually a recent purchase. This is the shade Swiss Dot. First of all, oh no, I'm gonna have to glue it back in.